الله أكبر الله أكبر الله
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful and compassionate.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
Sidi Sheikh Muhammad al Jamal Arafai is the head of the higher Sufi Council of Jerusalem, a teacher at the sacred Al-Aqsa Mosque in the holy city of Jerusalem, and the guide of the mystical Shadowliya path of Islamic Sufism. Affectionately known the world over by thousands upon thousands of his followers as Sidi, he often goes to this special place to pray, which is underneath the holy rock upon which Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him, ascended to heaven during the famous night journey.
أشهد أن محمدًا.
Sidi spends a large part of his days working out of a simple office on the grounds of the sacred mosque and helping guide those who are seeking the truth of the nature of their existence. Every day the people of the holy city come for personal communication and guidance relating to their everyday life. In addition to speaking to sometimes as many as 500,000 people during the traditional Friday gathering for prayer at the mosque, Sidi spends time with his followers on an individual basis as well. His ability to contain all of his followers is reflected by the fact that he is always available, even by telephone, to answer any questions from the heart of any of his beloveds.
Allah, He says for me, He sent order for me to come to America and to give the message for the beloved in America, because Allah shows me there is many people is very thirsty to know the truth of the real Islam. And this is deep blessing to see all those people who is very thirsty for the religion of Allah, the religion of the unity and the religion of all the prophets. For that, I ask Allah to keep me always His slave and to give His message, not in America, but in everywhere. And I go to London and I go to everywhere. I like to continue if Allah wish, and He give me strength to give, inshallah. I'm sure this is sign from Allah. He like me, He help, and He opened many hearts for the real word, for His word. And this is very holy thing, because many from the leader of the who carry the politics, not like to give chance for the people to understand about him and about his message. In the Holy Quran of Allah, He says, "O people, you are one from Father, all of them, one father and one mom, and there is no separation between black or white, slave or not, or king, but all of them from clay and those who came to clay." For that, very important for everyone to love each other and to help each other and to not fight with each other, and to be one nation under the flag of the real Islam, the Islam of the Prophet ﷺ. For that, this is the leader who carry the politics, those afraid from the message of Islam, because the message of Islam, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. The message of Islam, she is the justice for all the people, and she not make any separation between anyone from everywhere. There is no difference between Arabs and between Western and between Eastern, between anyone, those creation, those. For that Allah He gave this message for the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu salam, And he carries the essence of the reality of the truth. For that he is the messenger. And he is slave of Allah. Not more than that. And he says, I'm slave for Allah. He carries the complete message. What the humanity needed. Needed in this holy dunya and needed in the akhirah. For that this is the Prophet ﷺ. And this is the real message of the Prophet al-Islam. Some of the Muslims who carry the Islam not explain. And those thought, oh, the Muslims kill the people. The Muslims put bombs here and here. But the Prophet Muhammad, he not say to kill children, and he not say to kill women, and he not say anything to kill old people, or any to destroy houses, or to cut trees and to destroy. This is not from the way of the Prophet, and this is not from the way of Islam. Allah he says, if anyone he kill one person, he kill all the people. If anyone who give life for one person, he give life for all the people. This is the Islam. And this is what those leaders in the West put this war behind the people to not be real Muslim. For this reason I go to the West and to give the message, the real message, to say this is the Islam. Not like what those leaders says. The justice, all the justice in the real Islam, all the mercy, all the love, all the peace, the real peace, in the real Islam. This is what I mean, my brother. Thank you.
Sidi lives in the Mount of Olives, where he has built a special home called a Zawiya, where seekers from all over the world are invited to come and learn about the Shadaliya path. Under his loving supervision, students are able to open their hearts and discover the truth about the unity inherent within all existence.
Then I came to Jerusalem, of course. I didn't know what on earth a sheikh was going to look like or what I should do.
The Zawiya is currently managed by one of Sidi's long-time students, whose surrender and sharing reflects the feelings and thoughts of those on the path, and is typical of many other people's experience on the path as well.
I said, I want the house of a sheikh called Muhammad Jamal. He said, oh yes, he with a red beard. And I said, I don't know. So he took me down. And there that very night there were a whole lot of people in white clothes, all standing on the steps of the house. They'd been making dhikr, the 13th of May, 1976. And amongst them, I thought, well, there must be the sheikh. And sure enough, somebody detached himself from people on the steps and said, yes, beloved. I said, I'm Shan's mother. Oh, yes, beloved. He quickly took my suitcase and said, come with me, and took me down to the Zawiya, you see. And there he said, now tell me. And I said, but Sidi, I've left France and everything to come. He said, yes, beloved, don't worry. That was the beginning of my being in the Zawiya, you see.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I speak from the Zawiya of Shadaliya way. Like I am very poor slave for Allah. And God, He gave me permission to teach the people how to walk the way through the religion of unity, they mean the religion of the Prophets ﷺ till Muhammad. This Zawiya in Jerusalem, in the holy mountain, the Mountain Olives, and anyone when he come, I say for him welcome. If he open his heart, then I am ready for him to give him everything what he asks. If he want to walk through the way to know Allah and to know how to clean his heart and to carry the message of the peace and love and mercy and justice through the religion of the real Islam, I am a slave for him. For that, he start first of all, I start to teach him how to pray and how to remember the name of God and how he can make the ablution. And I explained for him about the praying. And I told him, this is your home, this is the home of God. For that, be ready for everything what Allah He wants from you to be. And if he opened his heart completely, I give him what he needs and what he can carry. First of all, I told him to write, and to write the station of the self and the station of the heart and the station of the soul and the station of the secret. There is no separation between me and between my beloved student. I love them like I love myself, and because the children of God and who Allah He care, and He asked me to care about them. For that I'm ready for anyone, and I give everything what Allah He give it to me for them. Allah, I pray for everybody to bless him and to help him until when he find, and until when he knows himself. When he knows himself, he knows God. And if he completely continue with the deep sincere and with the deep cylinder trust, I'm sure God, He give him everything what he need. For that, he stay like 1 month, maybe less, maybe more. And he can live here and he can sleep here, like, because this Zawiyah, this is the home of Allah, and for everybody who loves Allah. This is very little explanation about the Zawiyah. And for that, I say for anyone who knocks the door of Allah, welcome for him in any time, inshallah. And I pray for him from my heart, to help him and to open his heart and to be one from his real slave for God. Ameen. Salaamu Alaikum.
And the more he gave me of this beautiful message, the more I saw that this was the truth, and that this was really my religion, you see. And the more he talked to me about what we call the hadith, that the Prophet told, the way to live, how this beautiful religion is nothing in the end but deep consideration for the other, always. You put your other before yourself, you know. As the Prophet alayhi salam, you only truly love when you love for your brother what you love for yourself. To make no separation, you know. So I thought, this is more than beautiful, because it gives one a way of living in this daily life, as well as the inside inspiration. You have a path on which you have the right behavior for everything. Everything gets put in its right place then.
Sidi has traveled extensively over the past few years throughout America, always sitting on the floor in the tradition of the Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him. He awaits those who are thirsty for the knowledge which he is prepared to give to every sincere seeker.
Traveling this path does not require 2 months or 3 months.
منها تعرف من أنت.
For you to know who you are.
إنما نقول لك ألقي بنفسك بين ذراعي مولاك.
Plunge into the arms of your Lord.
وسلم إليه بالكلية.
And surrender completely
ترى أنه
to your Lord.
أرحم.
You will find that
من الأم على بك.
You will find that
أرحم من الأم
His
بك.
mercy is greater than the mercy of your mother to you when you were a baby.
هذا هو الله اسمه الرحمن الرحيم.
This is Allah. His name is the Merciful, the Compassionate.
وأبوابه مفتوحة لمن أراد.
And the doors, the gateways to Allah are open to whoever wishes to enter them.
لا تضيعوا
Do not
وقتكم
waste your time
إلا مع الله.
except with Allah. Do not spend any of your time
لا
except
أقول
with
لكم
Allah.
توقفوا عن عملكم.
This does not mean don't work.
يجب أن تعملوا
You need to work
بنشاط.
with much energy.
ولكن يجب أن يكون عملكم أن تكونوا تشبهون النحلة
In your work you should be as busy as the bees.
التي تطير مبكرة
The bee that
إلى
flies
الأزهار
early in the morning
ولا
in
تطير
search
إلى المزابل والقاذورات
of the
الدنيوية.
flowers. But the bees do not fly to the rubbish dumps and the rubbish heaps.
لكنها تذهب إلى الأماكن
It
الطيبة
goes to the fine
والأزهار
places, to the flowers that carry the
وبنشاط
beautiful scents. It
وتعطي
goes out in the morning
وتعطي خيرها لغيرها
and it gives
ومحبتها
the
لغيرها
result of its work.
حبها
It
لغيرها.
gives to others because of the
تماما.
love that it carries for others.
يريدنا أن نكون تماما كهذه الشمعة.
Allah wishes us to be exactly like this candle that you see there.
ها هي تحرق نفسها.
You see what the candle does? It is burning itself
تعطي
for the
حبا وتعطي
for the
ضوءا.
sake of giving out the light to those around
هذا
us.
مثل بسيط.
This light signifies the love. This is a small example of what a person on this path is
لكنك
like.
تستطيع أن تعطي أكثر من هذا بكثير.
And you as a human being can do much, much more than what this candle can do.
لأنه كل تجليات صفات الله موجودة
Because
فيه.
all of the manifestations and projections of God's qualities, only the human being carries them all in himself.
هذه قدسية الإنسان.
And this is what makes the human being so sacred.
How would you say that Sidi has affected your life?
Oh, loved. Show me that hadith. The answer to one answer towards how Sidi has affected my life is this one. Very early, quite early on my time here in Jerusalem, one day Sidi appeared with this book, a selection of very famous hadith. And he said to me, the book was open at this one, number 4, and he said, "This is for you," he said to me. So of course I quickly read it. And this is the English translation from the Prophet. "Verily the creation of each one of you is brought together in his mother's belly for 40 days in the form of seed. Then he is a clot of blood for a like period. Then a morsel of flesh for a like period. Then there is sent to him the angel who blows the breath of life into him and who is commanded about 4 matters. To write down his means of livelihood, his span of life, his actions, and whether happy or unhappy. By Allah, other than whom there is no God, verily one of you behaves like the people of paradise, until there is but an arm's length between him and it, and that which has been written overtakes him, and so he behaves like the people of hellfire, and thus he enters it. And one of you behaves like the people of hellfire, until there is but an arm's length between him and it, and that which has been written overtakes him, and so he behaves like the people of paradise, and thus he enters it. This is truth because of Sidi, taking me from being an arm's length from the fire forever, to bring me the chance to be saved in the garden. I don't know about the garden, but saved, and to find my heart. Excuse me. This is the guide, this is the perfect man who can take you from the depths of everything, you know.
In his teachings, he makes no separation between the inward and the outward. People who walk this path find that their life improves outwardly and inwardly. One is not sacrificed for the other. Each sphere fulfills the other.
I guess I was curious how music and words relate to the divine.
صوتك
Your voice
موسيقى.
is music.
كل الأصوات التي
All
تسمعها
the voices and sounds that you hear,
صوت
they
الماء
are
في الأنهار
music.
موسيقى.
The running stream forms music.
صوت العصافير
The
موسيقى.
song of birds is music.
كل حتى حفيف الأشجار.
Even the movement of the trees forms music.
كل شيء يغني
Everything sings
ويرقص.
and everything dances.
ولكن علينا أن نفهم اللغة
But we need to understand the language,
ونفتح أذننا ونجعلها صافية.
and we need to open our eyes, our ears, and purify our ears.
وهذا الغناء ليس غناء كما تسمع كما تعرفه.
And this singing is not the singing that you know.
إنها صلاة
It is a prayer
وتسبيح
and it is a glorification.
ما في كل شيء في الوجود إلا ويسبح الله ويصلي له.
Because there is nothing in existence except that it prays and glorifies its Lord.
تماما. سواء يعني عرف الناس أم لم يعرفوا.
And this is true whether people know this or not. This is
فإن
what
كانت هذه الآلة
happens.
الموسيقية
So if this musical instruments,
أنت تعلم ماذا تقول.
if you know what it says or what you say through it,
هي غذاء
then it can be
غذاء للروح.
food for the spirits.
وهي علاقة عميقة جدا.
And it has a very deep relation to the
ونحن
divine.
طريقنا لا تستغني عن الموسيقى.
In our way, we cannot live without this music, this divine.
فهي شرابنا وطعامنا.
It is our food and our drink.
حتى الكلام الذي يتكلمه الناس موسيقى.
Even the words that we exchange with each other, this is music.
عبارة عن نوتات
It's
موسيقية
all notes. It's all based on notes.
فالذي يدرس الموسيقى يعلم أن هذه النغمات التي يقولها هي عبارة عن نوتات
Knows that words that are spoken are music.
عليه بس أن يهذبها
But one needs to
وأن
refine,
يضعها في المكان المناسب في الوقت
know
المناسب.
when to speak words at the right time, at the right place, and
عندها
then it
يرى
becomes music.
ما أروعها وما أجملها.
Then he will see what wonderful
كما
music
أنه
this is,
يرتاح.
and he will get rest
أصلا
from this.
الطفل الأطفال منذ أن خلقوا من أول يوم
Children from the first day that they are born,
إذا أسمعته الموسيقى
if you let them hear music,
طرب لها جدا
they
وأنصت إليها
listen to it and they feel pleased by the sounds
وهو
of music
روح تتغذى منه.
because their spirits are being fed through the music.
حتى الأفاعي
Even snakes,
فإنها ترقص وتطرب.
they too have their music and their dancing.
وقد حدث معي أنا بالذات.
And I have had this experience with snakes.
كنت يوما من الأيام من مدة طويلة
Many years ago, one day,
ألعب على الكمنجة
I was playing the violin,
فعندها خرجت اثنتان حيتان كبيرتان
then two big snakes came out,
وأخذتا ترقصان أمامي.
and they started dancing in front of me
مر عن نصف ساعة
for about half an hour.
جاء الناس قالوا ما هذا.
People came and said, "What is this?"
يعني الحيات ترقص.
Snakes dancing?
أرادوا قتلها.
They wanted to kill the snakes.
قلت لهم لا
I said,
تقتلوها.
"No, do not kill the snakes.
إنها هذه تطرب.
They are having a good time dancing."
عندها أرواح وقلوب يعني أرق من قلوبكم.
Right now, these snakes have hearts and spirits that are more subtle than your own hearts and spirits. So leave them alone.
وعندما انتهيت انطلقت كل واحدة.
And when I finished playing, each snake left and went back to its home.
رأيت الراعي ومع غنماته
The shepherds,
عندما يبدأ في شبابته أو يعني مزماره كيف أن الغنم تطرب.
when he starts playing his flute, do you not see how the lambs respond to that music?
كل شيء يطرب.
Everything responds to
المهم
music.
أن يكون هذا الطرب مهذب
But it is important that this music is a refined
ويؤخذ بالمعنى الحقيقي.
music and is understood from its real sense of what it
فإذا
is
أخذ
about.
بهذا المعنى كان صلاة.
If it is taken from this meaning, from its deep meaning, then music becomes a prayer.
Why is it that some Muslims say that music is not allowed?
أنفسهم مسلمون.
I know many who call themselves Muslim,
وأعلم من الذين يقولون عن أنفسهم يهودا
and I know many amongst those who call themselves Jews,
ومسيحيين
and amongst those who call themselves Christian,
ولكنهم لا يمتثلون بالأوامر الحقيقية
but in truth they do not follow
التي
the
أمرت بها
guidance
هذه الأديان.
that has come with the original messages of these religions.
فهو لو يفهم تماما
If these people were to understand
الموسيقى
what music is
ويفهم القرآن
And if they were to truly understand the
أن
Quran,
الله يقول ورتل القرآن ترتيلا.
because Allah says in a verse, and recites the Quran with a sonorous voice, with a melodic voice.
والترتيل هو ترتيل على النغم الموسيقي الكامل.
And this,
والذي لا يقرأ بنغم موسيقي ونغمات موسيقية لا تعتبر قراءة.
and this recitation, this word for the recitation requires to have a melodic voice as you recite the Quran. And so any
وهو
reading of the
الكتاب
Quran,
المقدس.
which is the sacred book, if Allah requires us to have a melodic voice for it, what does this say?
وأن الله عز وجل أعطى داود
And Allah gave the Prophet David
مزمار
a flute,
وغنى به
and
وهو رسول كريم.
he is a messenger, he is a prophet, and Allah gave him this gift of playing the flute, which he did.
هؤلاء لا يعقلون
These people do not understand,
ولا يسمعون.
and they do not hear. There's a big difference between people who just yap away and between people who have had the tasting.
هم لا يذوقون.
They do not taste.
عندما يذوقون طعم المعرفة
If they were to truly taste
متأكد
true
تماما
knowledge,
أنهم سيحملون هذه الآلات ويعزفون عليها بالشارع.
if they had tasted what we have tasted of the true knowledge, they would take up their instruments and play their songs in the streets.
أنا أقول كما قال الرسول
I say,
إنما الأعمال
like what the
بالنيات.
Prophet said, all actions are according to the intentions behind them.
هذه سكينة
This is a knife, for
مثلا.
example.
إذا قتلت بها إنسان
If you use the knife to kill
هذه
someone,
جريمة وحرام.
then this is forbidden and this is a crime.
لكن لو قطعت بها قطعة خبز
But if you take this knife to
أو
cut a
تفاحة.
piece of bread or
هذا شيء
an
مباح.
apple, then this
لا
is
حرج
something
عليه.
permissible. There is no difficulty with using a knife that way.
وهكذا
And so on.
الموسيقى
Music is the same.
إذا استعملتها في صلاة
If you use music
وتغذية الروح
to feed the spirits
والقلب
and the hearts
بشكل مهذب
in a refined way
وبشكل مفهوم
and in a way that is
فهي
understood,
صلاة
then it is a prayer.
خير من صلاته التي يصليها بلا معنى في
This
المسجد.
is a better form of prayer than the prayer that one performs in a mosque without any deep meaning or deep understanding of what the prayer is all about.
أنها تدخل العبد إلى الله لا
As
مانع.
long as this music takes one into the presence of Allah, how can it be haram?
أذكر قصة صغيرة
I'll tell you a small story.
قبل تقريبا حدثت مع شيخنا
It happened with my guide
في دمشق.
in Damascus.
نحن الحضرة الشاذلية نقيم حضرتنا على الآلات الموسيقية.
When we performed the dhikr in the Shadali way, we used musical
طبعا
instruments.
الموسيقية الموجودة في الشرق موجودة يعني.
All the musical instruments that are available in the Middle East, we have them, like the oud, the
اليرغو
flutes,
تجد كذلك الكمانجة
the
تجد
violin.
كل الآلات.
all the musical instruments are used.
وتقوم الحضرة
And then we perform the dhikr.
هناك فريق يعزف
There are a group of people who play
وهناك
the
أيضا
music,
فريق ينشد.
and there's a group of people who sing,
وحلقة الذكر
and then the
تكون
circle
كبيرة
of the
قد
dhikr,
تزيد عن 500
maybe 500 people in the
في
dhikr,
مكان كبير
in a big place,
زاوية.
in the zawiyah.
وشيخنا كان يقيم الحضرة في دمشق.
And so our sheikh was just making the dhikr, the hadra.
فجاء اجتمع المشايخ العلماء المسلمين
Then
يعني أهل الشريعة
some of the people of the outworld, some of the ulama,
قالوا كيف هذا يقيم الحضرة على الآلات الموسيقية.
started saying the same argument. How can these people do dhikr
هذا
using
ليس
musical
صحيحا.
instruments?
هذا كذا
This is
هذا
not
كذا.
right. This is forbidden. This is this. This is that.
شكوه إلى الحاكم.
So they complained to the governor of Damascus.
فجاء الحاكم بنفسه مع الشرطة مشان يمنع.
The governor in person came with his police staff to
وكانوا
stop the sheikh from doing
كل
the
العلماء والمشايخ
dhikr with the music. And he was accompanied also by the sheikhs of the outward law.
وقام الشيخ حفلة الذكر.
But the sheikh went ahead and started his dhikr.
وأمر أبنائه بالعزف.
And he told his students, his sons, to play the music.
عنده الشيخ أمر الذين يعزفون بأن يتركوا الآلات.
And then the sheikh told the students who were playing the music, he said, leave the instruments alone, drop them.
ولكن الآلات استمرت بالعزف لوحدها.
But the instruments went on playing the music without anyone playing them.
والحاكم ينظر والشرطة تنظر.
And the governor and the police chiefs were there looking at these musical instruments
وكانوا
playing by
يذكرون
themselves.
الله. يذكرون الله. يقولون لنمنع ذكر الله وهذه الآلات تذكر الله واضحة بأنغامها.
So the chief said, how can we stop these people from doing dhikr when the musical instruments are responding to the dhikr by playing music, and that is their way of doing dhikr.
فإن كنتم فقال للعلماء إن كنتم علماء حقا وأهل يعني متبعين أمر الله هيا فأسكتوا هذه الآلات عن الذكر.
So the governor turned to the leaders of the outward knowledge law, and he said, if you truly have what you claim to have, then here you are at liberty to try and stop these musical instruments from playing. If you can stop them, go ahead. So go away. Go away.
فنحن إذن إنما الأعمال بالنيات.
So know that actions are according to intentions.
Allah ينظر إلى القلوب.
Looks at your hearts.
فإن كنت صادقا ومخلصا
If you have sincerity and truth in what you do,
تبتغي به وجه الله.
if you are seeking in what you do the pleasure of Allah,
أينما كنت وكيف
wherever you are, whatever you are doing,
لا تلتفت إلى هؤلاء.
do not turn left or right to what others say, because they do not understand
والذين لا يرون.
and they do not see.
كثيرون ممن لهم أعين لكنهم لا يرون.
Many people have eyes in their heads, but yet they do not see. The eye of the heart sees better than the eye of the head.
هذا وشكرا.
And thank you.
So I'd like to say about this, while we're on about this thing, is there are many hadiths, many sayings and predictions amongst the holy masters about this, that this shadowy way, which is our way, the saying is that the last days, and as you all probably know, we are in what are known as the last days, will fall upon the shadowier path. This is the path, beloveds, for these days. The one path which is most blessed by God, to bring the people, all the world, from the darkness to the light, you know. So, again, my beloveds, we are called by God to be messengers for all the people who are still living in the darkness, in whatever way we can, to bring people more and more into the light. This is our holy responsibility. So anybody who comes to Sidi, first one comes for oneself. But then one comes for all people, you see, who are still living in the state that we were in before, to try and bring them into their true existence. Because you know, when Allah created everything, the mercy is in every single thing that's created, whether they believe in it or not. When the veils are taken and the eyes are open, then every heart can see the deep mercy inside itself. And this is what has to be uncovered, you know, the first thing. And it's the material life, you see, which covers, puts the rust, as it's called, over the heart. The influences from one's early childhood, you know, what one was told one had to believe or do. The influences of the school where one went. The influences of what one was learning, the outside learning through the mind especially. The mind was the God, you see. Everything was for the mind. The heart was not considered. So this is the kind of society in which we've all grown up, all of us, where we put great emphasis on, and the mind and the ego self work together, of course, whereas the heart was not considered at all, ever. Very, very seldom. But now we have to realize that it's the heart that is the king of this kingdom, not the mind. Because the heart is the house of Allah. It is the most simple part of the body, but it is the house of Allah in which He lives, inside us, every one of us. And He wants us to clean His house, to make it ready for Him to live always inside His house, which is our heart.
The important thing to follow the teaching of God, not the teaching from your head. God, He sent His teaching through His beloved prophets. And God, He created us. He knows what everyone He needs. What is useful and not useful. For that, what happens for the people when you see the world full of the suffering, and there is no peace, there is no love in the right way, and the freedom not in the right way, you see what happens. And most of the people go direct to the side of the material thing. And all of them leave the spiritual path, mean the path of God. This is the problem. For that, when the people now is more than hungry about the spiritual way. Or that, see what happens in the school before 2 times now, in 1 month. Why? If those children knows how to be, how to teach the children in a spiritual way, in the right way, like what God He wants, I am sure no one who can make, you will not have anything like what you have in the schools. Yeah.
Maybe I would ask them too, then, what is our responsibility to the world for things that happen like in Denver? What is our responsibility? What should we do?
مسؤولية كبيرة جدا.
Very big responsibility.
ونحن المسؤولين عن الطفل ليس هو القاتل.
The killer is not, in reality, the killer are not the young people.
ولكننا نحن القتلة.
We, the older people, are the ones who are the cause of these killings.
لأننا لم نعلمهم تعاليم السماء.
Because as the parents have not taught these young people the teachings of heaven.
وتعاليم السماء هي الرحمة.
The teachings of heaven are all mercy and all love.
والأدب.
And
وعدم الاعتداء على الآخرين.
And the understanding of not attacking others.
ولكننا أعطيناهم الحرية الكاملة.
But we have allowed young men and women to have the complete freedom
بشكل خاطئ.
in a wrong way.
وهذا هو وحتى أننا الأسرة تحطمت.
And as a result of this, the family has lost its integrity.
ما في أسرة الآن.
There is no family anymore.
لماذا؟
Why?
لو سألت جدك
If you were to ask
قبل
your
100 سنة كيف كانت الأسرة هنا في هذه البلاد؟
How was the family in this country 100 years ago?
والأطفال يعيشون في عائلة تنعم بالمحبة وبالرحمة لأنهم كانوا يتبعون تعاليم السماء.
Because they did follow the teachings of heaven.
لكن عندما ابتعدوا كثيرا وتركوا كل شيء
gone too far away
وذهبوا إلى الحياة المادية المطلقة
and have become totally engrossed in the material world.
ولا يتعرفون على العبادة إلا في يوم واحد.
And when they stopped
عندما يذهبون إلى الكنيسة أو
إلى
السينما أو إلى المسجد
to the temple.
ليست هذه العبادة ليست هذه الصلاة.
But this is not
الصلاة دائما وأنت في عمل وأنت في نوم وأنت تمشي في الشارع.
In your work, in your sleep, in your walking in the streets.
فمثلا وأنت في عملك
For example, when you are at your work,
يجب أن لا تغش،
you should not cheat.
ويجب أن لا تكذب،
You should not
ويجب
lie.
أن تكون أمين
You need to be
وصادق
honest and truthful.
ومحب. الذي
So,
تعمله
doing all of
أنك
these
ترضي
things,
الله،
one is always engaged
وأنت ترى
in
وأنت
prayer,
تعلم أنه
only
يراك،
wishing for the pleasure of God.
وأنك تعمل لترضيه حتى تحظى بجنته إذا أطعته.
And one does this, obeying God, following God's instruction, in order to find the God.
فلو أن الآباء والأمهات يعلموا أطفالهم من البداية ويراقبوهم
from the very beginning,
تخالف تعاليم السماء،
and if the parent abstained from doing things that are contrary to the guidance of God in front of their own children,
تماما سيتنشأ أسرة قوية
then truly,
محترمة
surely
تحافظ
there would be
تحمل جميع القيم
that
الإنسانية
has
الحقة.
integrity within itself.
وهذا الأمر الذي جعلنا نحن مسؤولين
And this is what makes
أمام
us
عملية القتل.
responsible for events like it.
من أين تعلم هذا
Where
الطفل
did these
صنع
young people
القنبلة أو استعمال
get the
السلاح؟
idea of doing such things?
هذا مما لا شك أنه من بيته.
No
هل كان
doubt
يراقبه والديه؟
they must have gotten it out of the environment of their home.
فوالديه أرضعاه الماء القذر.
The parents of these people have given dirty water for their children.
ولذلك ماذا تنتظر من إنسان أرضعه والديه؟
Expect of a human being who has been fed dirty
سيخرج
water
قذرا.
by his parents.
بخلاف لو أنه أعطوه الماء النظيف الطاهر سيخرج طاهرا ويكون مؤدبا.
would have turned out to be pure and polite.
والعلاج إذن
So
هو
treatment for
أن
these
نرجع
cases
إلى تكوين
is that all
الأسرة
of us turn to pay attention one more time to the formation of the
وأن
family
نعلمهم تعاليم
and to
السماء
teach them the teachings and the guidance from heaven.
ويكفينا تمسكا بالمادة التي قتلت
And let us not
أنفسنا
hold on to the
وقلوبنا
material
وأصبحت
world
سوداء.
with such tenacity.
لماذا نستعمل الحرية الخاطئة؟
Why do we use freedom in the wrong way?
هذه أنا أرى وأسمع أن الطفل عندما يبلغ 17 سنة أو 16 من سواء أنثى أو
Young men and women
ولد
reach the age of 16 or 17.
تطلق له يقول له أنت حر تصرف.
They are told you are free, do whatever you wish.
هذا هو بحاجة، هذا السن خطير جدا.
Most people don't realize that this age
هو
is
بحاجة
more
إلى الرعاية في هذا السن
and much more
أكثر
delicate
تماما
and much more dangerous
كحاجته وهو ابن
because
سنة
people in the
وسنتين
age of 15,
وثلاثة
16,
وأربعة
17
وخمسة
in fact need
وبحاجة إلى
more guidance and
المساعدة
more protection
في هذا
than
السن
children
حتى
who are much
يستطيع
younger.
أن يبني نفسه ويحافظ
Parental
ويبني
guidance
أسرة
is
قوية.
needed at this stage
وهذا ما
to help
تحتاجه
these young
الإنسانية.
men and women to go through delicate age until they become strong young adults.
As Sidi has taught, daily conscious activity is a high and valued form of prayer, and is thus a path of facilitating the experience of the knowledge of the unity. We are guided to see every activity as a form of prayer, and by holding love in our hearts at all times, every act is imbued with the holy fragrance of the divine, and God is experienced through all forms and realities. What is the significance of all this for you in your walking with Allah?
Oh, beloved, this is very special. This is my garden, one of my gardens, the animals, you know, and especially in the dove house, because there's something about the quality of the doves that's very beautiful. I often come and sit here when I want some sort of consolation or something like this, and I spend about half an hour just sitting with the doves, and then when I feel peace in my heart, then I go, you know. They give me a sense of, I think one of the things that one sees most is that they so much follow the order of Allah. which is such a lesson for us human beings, you know. Their life is very simple, caring for the young. Nothing could be more caring than the doves for their young, the way they look after them. And as I said, both male and female do this, both the male and the female, not just the female. Oh, and everything, do it for, see that whatever you're doing is for Allah, you know, in His order. And whether it is sweeping the floor in your house or throwing out the garbage, whatever it is, this is what you do, you know, but to do it for Allah, like in the best way that one possibly can, that's it. But especially in the caring, to have all the love in it, because the love is what gives life to everything. You know, that the caring should be full, come from one's full heart, you know, then this is what gives the life. If it comes, oh, I've got to do it automatically, it doesn't give carry the same message to everything as it does when it's done with love. To try and do it with love for one's home, love for one's work, what one's doing in an office, whatever it can be, you know. To try and do it with one's heart in it, if possible. Put one's heart in whatever one's doing. Because this is for one's beloved God, you see, and for one's beloved Sheikh and for everything. Yes. And it means all the stations of the love, from the beginning to the end, you know.
Sidi helps open our understanding of the self-evident secrets and blessings of God that are continuously bestowed upon us, yet are often overlooked. And He guides us to open our hearts to fully experience and realize the gratitude for the divine blessings continuously showered upon us in every moment of existence.
Tell a beautiful story which carries a deep meaning, very deep meaning. And it gives a true understanding, a deep understanding to true trust in Allah, trusting in God and relying on God. And the story also illustrates a true exchange of love, a true exchange of love that makes no kind of separation.
مع أن هذه القصة حدثت مع متناقضين.
Even though the story is set in two contradictory things.
مع دبور وعصفورة.
A bird and a wasp.
وهذا يعني يعطينا درسا.
And this gives us
ويعطي لكل الناس.
And gives to all people a certain understanding of how love and mercy should be expressed.
The
story teaches us, it's a teaching from Allah about true love, deep love, and true mercy that each human being aspires to. This story also tells us that the depths of love go beyond the human being and are also experienced amongst the other creations of Allah, like His birds and insects. One day, when I was like 13 years old, I was born in my village, and it was the harvest time.
وكان الناس يحصدون ويخرجون الحب.
So they were harvesting the grain, they were chaffing.
ذهبت بنفسي لأرى أعمامي وبعض أقاربي.
So I went to see some of my uncles and relatives who were engaged in the harvest time in their village.
فالتفت فرأيت دبور.
And at one point I turned and I saw a wasp.
ينزل على القمح ويأخذ الحبة حبة القمح في فمه ويطير.
And I saw this wasp go pick up a grain and then fly out.
ثم رجع مرة
And then I see the wasp coming back, picking up another grain and flying out, and then I saw it come a third time. So I said to myself,
إن وراء هذا الدبور قصة.
There's a story behind what this wasp is doing.
ولذلك صممت إلا أن ألتقطه
I
بسلام.
decided to catch this wasp without causing it any harm.
وفعلا ذهبت وأتيت بخيط
So I went and I got a
رقيق
thread, a
جدا
very thin thread,
وعلبة صغيرة
and I got a little box,
وحاولت فالتقطته
and I caught the wasp.
وربطت رجله بالخيط
And I tied a thin thread onto one of its legs,
وأطلقته
and I let it go free.
لكنه نزل إلى القمح
But again he came back and picked
وأخذ
up
حبة
another
قمح
grain
وانطلق
of wheat and flew again.
ولكني أنا تبعته آخذا طرف الخيط
But I
بلطافة.
had the thread onto his leg, and I just followed him where he flew.
عندها وصل بعد أن طار حوالي 200 متر
After he flew for about 200 yards,
نزل وأخذ يحدث صوتا
I saw
في
him
نزوله.
flying down and making a sound.
ثم التفت وإذ أسمع يعني هناك زي عشبة هكذا
Then I found like a little nest on the ground.
ثم هناك صوت عصفور
And then I heard the
يفتح
voice of a
يفتح
bird
فمه
as it was opening its beak.
وهذا الدبور بحط الحبة في فم
And
هذا
I
العصفور
saw the wasp go down and drop the grain of wheat into the beak of the bird.
فالتفت إلى هذا العصفور وأخذته
I took
بيدي
this bird in my hands,
وإذ لا رجلين
and I
له
found that this bird had no legs
وأنه أعمى
and it was blind.
لا يرى. هذه المفاجأة كانت
This was
عظيمة
a
إلى
great
قلبي
surprise, and it really impacted my
حيث
heart
أنها كانت درسا
because it was a
عظيما
living class for me, a living
وجعلت مني
message.
من ذلك اللحظة
And from that point on,
أنني عرفت الله من خلالهما
I knew that
وأكثر
I
وأكثر
knew Allah more and more through the
وأن
interaction
درس
of the bird.
تفضل الله
and
علي به من
this was a
خلالهما
teaching that I received from Allah
كان
through
هذين هما المعلمان الأوليان لي
two creatures. These were
كيف
my first
وجدت الله من
teachers,
خلالهما
because through these two beings I saw and I learned about Allah.
حيث أنهما من خلالهما يحملان الفضائل الذاتية التي لا
Because
يصل إليها
these
الإنسان
two creatures had some
إلا
of
بالشفافية
the essential attributes of Allah that very
والتجرد
few people carry. Only the people who have really walked very deeply and have let go of their own selves have they achieved this subtlety of being able to carry and transmit these qualities of God.
والتجرد عن كل ما عدا الله
Because the path eventually is about letting go of everything other than the essentials of Allah.
فعرفت الحب
So through what I had
في
witnessed
منتهاه
I saw the ultimate in love.
والعشق وهو
I
العشق
saw
الذي
the
ما
ultimate
بعده شيء
of the deep love that has nothing beyond it.
انمحقت الصور
All pictures were annihilated,
والرحمة المتناهية
and only the mercy
التي
was there to be seen.
عدوا ليطعمه حتى يكون حبيبا.
But look, Allah
كيف هذا
set up this
التناقض؟
situation
عند الناس تناقض.
where this bird was being fed by its enemy in the outward.
لكن
This for
الله
people is a
هو الذي
contradiction,
حوله
but it is
بأن
Allah
يكون كله
who
حب.
puts the qualities whenever He wants. He put the qualities of love and mercy in the wasp to feed its enemy, so to speak, and to give it the love.
وهذا مني إلا أن أخذت الدبور ووضعته في العلبة
I took the wasp at that point and put it in the little box that I had with me.
بلطافة وأخذت الطائر
And
ووضعته
I took
في
the birds.
علبة أخرى.
And I put that in another box.
قلت في نفسي
I said to
سأخذهما
myself,
وأتعهدهما
I will take them
بالإطعام
and
والإكرام
I will charge myself with feeding both of them.
لكنني ذهبت إلى جدي
But I went to my grandfather,
الذي كان يومها يعلم الناس.
who was a teacher in the mosque.
فعندما أريتهما لجدي
So when I showed
أخذ
him both
جدي يبكي
the wasp and the bird, my grandfather started crying,
وكذلك الناس من
and the
حوله
people also were crying,
وازدادوا يقينا
and they increased in
إيمانا
certainty and belief and
وثقة
faith and
بالله.
trust in Allah.
وبدأ الشيخ جدي يحدث
And the
الناس
Sheikh, my grandfather, started to give a
المعاني
teaching,
التي يمكن أن يأخذها الإنسان
started to give a teaching on the
من
different
هذه
meanings
من خلال
that one
هذه
can
القصة
understand
المباركة.
from this very blessed
فقال
story.
أولها الحب،
He said, first we can learn about
ثانيا
love,
الرحمة،
then we can
ثالثا
learn about
الوفاء،
mercy, we can learn
رابعا
about
التوكل.
loyalty, fourth about trusting in God,
نعم، وأنه محق وسحق العداوة
and
بين
then it
المخلوقات.
is about obliterating all reasons for enmity between any kind of creation.
For all of those who have had the good fortune to be a part of Sidi's life, most of them have experienced life-enhancing moments of positive growth and transformation on both an inner and an outer scale. As one walks the Shadaliya path and experiences the magic and power that comes from a guide such as Sidi, one's heart cannot help but open in gratitude for the chance to know such a person. And as one's heart opens in gratitude and as one basks in the comfort of the experience of his unconditional love, one can taste the sweetness of the essence of the unity.
He wants from you to be always with God face to face and to carry His message and to give the love and the peace for each other. For everyone, if you know Him or you not know Him, until to give the love for the animals, for the trees, for the human being. He wants always from you to have to carry His fragrance, the fragrance of God. Without this fragrance, there is no life.
The desert, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, La ilaha illallah, Ya